A leading admiral with the United States military is warning that China is preparing to attack. New reports show that China is preparing to move. They are testing the fences. They are seeing how quickly the United States of America will react. According to these reports, China is amassing weapons and systems to overwhelm Taiwan and to overwhelm any attempt by the United States military to counter this attack, an action that some warn will take place as soon as this year, with the admiral, who is chosen to be the next commander of the U.S. forces in the Pacific, warning that whatever the timeline, it is much closer than you are prepared for. This problem is closer to us than most think. That's according to Admiral John Aquilino. He said before the Senate Armed Services Committee, which was reviewing the nomination, China considers establishing full control of Taiwan and rebuffing the United States of America in the entire Indo-Pacific to be its #1 priority, he adds. We've seen aggressive actions earlier than we anticipated, he says, whether it's on the Indian border or whether it's in Hong Kong, and whether it's against other groups. We've seen things that we didn't expect to happen. We ought to be prepared today, warns the admiral. According to China, Taiwan is an inalienable part of China. That warning is from the Chinese Defense Ministry spokesperson, a senior colonel in the military there. He says that the PLA will take all necessary measures to resolutely defeat any attempt by Taiwan, by its separatists, or by anyone backing the Taiwanese government. That means your government, the United States of America. That means the USA and all of its allies. And so you have to ask, when is this going to happen? Why is this going to happen? You see, they have, it's no different than laws. They have agreements that they will come to the aid of their allies, these allied agreements. And so when China decides to move on Taiwan, that could be today, it could be next month, it could be in a couple of weeks. When they decide to move, the United States must act on their agreements of alliance. They have to do this. And when that happens, France, Germany, everyone else has to have the United States back. Russia, Iran, everyone else has to have China's back. And that's when we see the next step toward world war. The current commander of the U.S. Navy's Pacific Fleet said that Washington must increase its deterrence capability. He regarded that China to date is more prepared than the United States of America. We certainly haven't changed their desire, he says, nor their intent, nor their ability to execute the largest military buildup that we have seen, according to the U.S. Admiral. Remember, this is your military. This isn't just some researcher. This isn't someone on one side of the political agenda or the other. This is your military saying that we are not ready. This is your military saying that China is owning us in these simulations. They're saying that China is more prepared than us. They will rebuff the United States military in these simulations. And so when you bring into this entire platform the fact that both of these countries are armed with nuclear weapons, that China proclaims to be defensive but is preparing for offensive maneuvers, that the United States will not take no for an answer, that it must come through and defend its allies, that all of the other countries of the world must get ready for this, then you start building the recipe for a disaster. You as an individual have a responsibility to your family and a responsibility to yourself to be as ready as you can for this event to take place. Every time throughout history we go through cycles, don't we? We have freedom, tyranny, revolution. That's a cycle. We have economic cycles that would go from times of plenty to times of not. We also have cycles of war. And these things start to play in with each other. They start to have their fingers entwined together. When you have an economic fallout, when you have an economic crisis, the next step is war. When you have a biological threat, it's always followed by an economic crisis. It's always followed by the next step, which is war. So you have to get ready for this, even if you don't see it as a top priority. Do what you can to be prepared. So make your plans now. Decide where you're going to go, what you're going to do, how you're going to get ready. And if you think that it doesn't matter because you're in the United States and the Indo-Pacific is far away, that's not all you need to be ready for. You need to be ready for the continuing economic impact of a conflict with China. You think the COVID-19 scare on food and medicine was bad? Just wait. China controls around 70 to 90% of all of the raw ingredients that go into the medicine that keep your family alive when they have health problems. They control those raw ingredients. So when they stop sending the United States those ingredients, guess what happens? The United States has a choice. We can go in and we can take it from you, or we can suffer. So you need to be ready for that. How do you get ready for that type of supply issue? Become as independent as you can. Control as many aspects of your life as you can. Control as much of your medicine as you can. Start to look at some natural alternatives when medicine is no longer available. Control all of the food that you can, so that the food that you're used to getting at inexpensive prices from across the country can be grown in your own backyard. Control your own defense. Make sure you have a perimeter around your house, apartment, whatever it might be. Know when people are getting close. Know when they're coming inside. Know who's knocking at your door by being able to visually identify who that is. Be prepared to act against violence when it's coming at you. You can control these things. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you have to be ready to jump on a ship and go fight some rich guy's war in another country. Absolutely not. But you can control the other aspects of fallout from what's going to happen with a conflict with China. The U.S. military, meanwhile, he says, is sending its guided missile destroyers through the Taiwan Strait, the waterway separating the island from Chinese mainland, and challenging Beijing's claims to the South China Sea. Just this week, China is reported to have moved in and was flying over 20 warplanes through the Taiwanese airspace in a clear violation of law, and an act that could bring the United States of America to war in moments if an act of aggression takes place. At least 20 military aircraft entered Taiwan's airspace. This is the largest incursion by China's Air Force since Taiwan's defense ministry announced almost daily Chinese military exercises in its airspace. China said that the exercises were meant to show its determination to defend the island, which it considers part of Chinese territory. Friday's exercises involved 4 H-6K bombers, which have nuclear strike capabilities, 10 J-16 fighter jets, and 6 other military planes. Taiwan warned the Chinese government to move the planes. They didn't. They moved their defensive missiles into place in preparation for what was going to happen. You see, we're just in a tinderbox, aren't we? We're just waiting for that next event to happen. Anything could be a catalyst for what sends us off to the next world war. So you and your family need to get ready. China's growing firepower cast doubt on whether the United States could defend Taiwan. This is according to military strategists. 20 years ago, China had no chance, they say, of successfully challenging the United States military. Pentagon planners could count on near total superiority in the air and in the sea, the ability to move aircraft carriers close to Taiwan's eastern coast. But a more prosperous China, they say, has invested in new naval ships, new warplanes, new nuclear capabilities, cyber and space weapons, and a massive arsenal of ballistic and cruise missiles that are designed to wipe out the United States' ability to control the area. When you look at the numbers and ranges of systems that China deploys, it's pretty easy to deduce what their main target is, because pretty much everything they build can hit Taiwan. This is according to a senior defense researcher who is involved in presenting the United States military with positions and models that show what would happen during an offensive and defensive maneuver in that area. A lot of stuff they build can hit Taiwan. It's also prepared to defend the region. Every generation of Chinese missiles has longer and longer ranges on them, said one senior defense official. The missiles present a growing dilemma for the United States of America. If China, they say, succeeds in subjugating the Taiwan region, it could send shockwaves through America's network of allies. You see, there's a lot more. You know, it doesn't matter to you or I too much. Maybe the repercussions aren't as bad if we lose face. If one person says that they're going to do something and doesn't do it, the shockwaves there, the repercussions are very small, aren't they? Sure, a lot of people local to them aren't going to do business with them anymore. They're not going to have friendships with them. But when you're a government, when you're a nuclear-powered government, when you're a nuclear military, and you don't come to the aid of your allies that you have agreements to, the repercussions are massive. That means all of your people, all 330 million United States Americans, will suffer the repercussions of this. That means every person in The UK will suffer the repercussions. Every person in Germany will suffer the repercussions. Everyone in Britain, everyone in Japan, everyone in the Philippines. The repercussions of what is to happen, the shockwaves, are enormous. The United States is committed by law to providing Taiwan with the means to maintain self-defense before the U.S. comes into play. Analysts argue that Taiwan and the United States need new power. They need the ability to take on what China is going to throw at them. They say that Taiwan is invested in Patriot missiles. Patriot missiles are going to die first, they say, in the first few hours of war. They're going to be gone because China can throw more at them than any of these. You couldn't amass enough Patriot missiles for China to not just knock down like they're nothing. They'll be gone. They won't matter. There's just no way, they say. This is according to the United States military, according to analysts there. There's no way to fight back this onslaught. And so what do they do next? Is it limited nuclear events? Is it harsh and ongoing economic warfare? Is it cyber events? Do they drop an EMP? Don't be worried about the major casualties. Don't be worried about being called up for a draft to go somewhere else. What you need to be concerned with is the secondary, the fallout events that are going to take place and are going to affect you and your family. Start to get ready today. From my family to yours, please stay safe and keep watch.